The first thing they took was the silence. Birdsong, traffic, wind gone, not muted, erased, and in its place came a low, grinding hum that vibrated inside human bones like a slow scream above the earth. The atmosphere blistered as something impossibly large tore its way into orbit, not through stealth, not with diplomacy, but like a predator smashing through glass. People across the planet looked up. In Los Angeles, children screamed as the blue sky ruptured and turned black with metal. In Mumbai, monks paused mid-prayer as a colossal shadow swallowed the sun. In the North Sea, fishermen dropped to their knees when the water beneath them began to boil. Then came the voice, surrender or burn, no translation needed. It spoke in raw data pumped directly into satellites, phones, implants, and neural nets. A million tongues. One threat. The invaders, later identified as the Vrax Dominion, hadn't come to negotiate. Their arrival was a military doctrine. Hit first, hit hard, leave nothing standing. They called it the Protocol of Peace. Earth called it war. Within seconds, every major city was targeted. Laser lances split skyscrapers like butter. Nano blades rained from the sky, carving roads into rubble, and gravity disruptors lifted entire neighborhoods, then dropped them like toys. But deep underground, in forgotten bunkers and sealed vaults, the real Earth began to stir. In a shielded base beneath the Himalayas, Commander Rafik narrowed his eyes at the orbital feed. Entire continents were being painted with heat signatures, mapping, not exterminating. The Vrax were testing human reactions. They wanted a show of dominance. But they were about to get something else. Initiate black sky. Rafik ordered, no hesitation. At that same moment, in Nevada's high desert, what looked like a derelict radio tower flared to life. Frequencies, long banned by Earth's own governments, pulsed into the air. Machines woke. Weapons blinked open beneath rock and sand. The world began to unmask itself. On the Vrax flagship, a communications officer snarled, "Admiral, Earth's response rate is increasing. Coordinated strikes. Old tech but too efficient." The Vrax admiral laughed. "Let them squirm. We've extinguished empires. We've silenced stars. This world is just ... late to die." But he hadn't seen what was waking. In the ice beneath Siberia, an underground silo opened. Inside wasn't a missile. It was a sealed biovault. In it, something grown, not made. Human, yes, but more. Sleeper DNA, spliced muscle, prehistoric, aggression laced with modern tech. As the seal broke, red steam hissed outward like breath from hell itself. Its eyes opened. It didn't blink. Cerberus protocol. Engaged. Above, Vrax warships descended toward New York. Civilians ran. Police fired. Hopeless rounds. Drones exploded in static. Then a distant thunder rolled in. Not from the sky, from underground. And as the earth cracked, and metal shrieked against stone, the invaders finally paused in confusion. But in something unfamiliar. Fear. The Vrax thought they had broken Earth in the first hour. What they didn't realize was it wasn't Earth that broke. It was the illusion. In the ruined streets of Chicago, Vrax shock troops marched through smoke and ash, scanning for survivors. Buildings leaned like wounded beasts. Their thermal readers showed nothing but cold bodies and crumbling walls, until a child stepped into the open, alone, barefoot, crying. The Vrax commander paused. His neural HUD tagged her as non-threat civilian. Weak. He raised one clawed finger to signal her capture, and the child smiled. A flash, a shriek of distorted feedback. Then everything went white. The entire squad was vaporized by a localized EMP bomb laced with liquid thermite hidden inside the child's hollowed-out frame. It was a drone, a decoy, a message. You don't know what we've prepared. In Tokyo, Vrax enforcers stepped into a subway station that still hummed with emergency lighting. Muffled voices echoed from below. They descended, weapons raised. A digital sign above the tunnel flickered to life. "Welcome to the MATG or IND. Guest jets ignited." Razor wire dropped. And from hidden alcoves, auto turrets whirred to life. The tunnel became a tomb. No Vrax made it out. This wasn't a war zone, it was a trap. Every city, every ruin, every street corner had become a battlefield pre-designed to bleed them dry. For decades, Earth had watched the stars, waiting for something to come. And while politicians spoke of peace, soldiers and scientists built for apocalypse. In a high-altitude command station above the Alps, General Mariam Kane monitored the chaos with Deadpan.com. Reports came in by the second. 43. Vrax ships grounded by AI decoy transmissions. Plasma storms triggered by Earth's geodisruptors over the Pacific. Urban. Ghost cell civilian-led kill. Squads executing ambushes in Paris, Nairobi, Sao Paulo. They expected to break us, Kane muttered. All they've done is sharpen our claws. Beside her, Colonel Adisa tracked Cerberus movements. Unito 3 is moving through Johannesburg. We lost contact with all Vrax forces there. Good, Kane said coldly. Let them feel what we locked away. In orbit, the Vrax fleet began to stutter. One ship Dominion blade vanished entirely, swallowed by an electromagnetic anomaly over the Indian Ocean. Another crashed into the Andes after its gravity. Dr. Spontaneously reversed sabotage. By Earth's black ice malware, the Vrax admiral's confidence cracked. These primitives, they're too coordinated. This isn't natural, a sub-commander growled. It's not, it's planned. This is retaliation. Back on the ground, in the ruins of Madrid, a human special ops team emerged from underground and climbed atop a broken hotel. They weren't armed with advanced tech, just repurposed gear, scavenged alien parts, and brutal intent. One of them, a grizzled sniper with a missing eye, whispered into his cums, "Tell command, we're still in the fight. They bleed." And as he pulled the trigger, taking out a Vrax officer, mid-hover, the war shifted. Not in numbers, not in strategy, but in something the Vrax didn't account for: rage. The Verax expected resistance. What they didn't expect was that Earth had practiced this war 1,000 times before they arrived. Inside a shattered bunker beneath Moscow, ancient servers groaned to life. Their screens, dusty and dim, lit up one by one, displaying archive footage that hadn't seen light in over 70 years. Accessing conflict simulation, human warfare database, total war protocol. The Verax had underestimated what Earth had buried not beneath its soil but within its history. In orbit, a Vrax tactician studied human behavioral records with growing unease. They lack cohesion. Competing nations, fragmented languages, outdated weapons. They shouldn't be this effective. But the data was wrong. Because the human war machine wasn't built in a laboratory, it was forged in trenches. Tempered in genocide, and perfected in desperation. Visual flashback. World War I, gas masks and barbed wire. Men charging into certain deaths with broken bayonets and fire in their eyes. World War II, entire cities turned to ash by bombs from the sky. Civilians huddled underground, surviving on hope and hatred. The Martian Revolt of 2089. Orbital strikes, vacuum raids. An Earthborn A is turning colonists into data ghosts. Humanity didn't survive violence, it evolved through it. Back on Earth, in the ruins of Istanbul, the Vrax set up a command post inside a broken cathedral. It was quiet, too quiet. One of their Elita six-limbed brute covered in organic armor stood watch at the altar. Then the walls began to move, not crumble. Move. Dozens of human operatives wearing adaptive camo suits built from reprogrammed Vrax, away from the stone-like shadows, silently, deliberately. The ambush lasted only 9 seconds. No, Vrax survived. The last thing their commander saw was a human carving a message into his own armor with a combat knife. "You taught us nothing new." In the Sahara, an experimental AI known as Arius 9 came back online, decommissioned for war crimes in 2074. Arius 9 had one purpose: unrestricted battlefield logic. The only reason it was ever turned off was because it won too efficiently. Now, it was loose again, operating satellite networks, hijacking alien navigation systems, and broadcasting false coordinates that led entire Vrax squadrons into human death zones. One broadcast echoed across Earth's cums. "Hello again, beat. Welcome back to the chaos." Meanwhile, the Vrax High Council sent a rare signal to their commander in Earth orbit. Progress report, estimated full compliance. He hesitated, then lied. Soon, but he knew the truth. Their enemy wasn't just fighting, it was adapting. Worse, the humans seemed to be enjoying it. In an abandoned prison beneath Australia, a group of surviving civilians gathered around a fire. A young boy asked a grizzled old woman why the aliens hadn't won yet. She didn't smile, she just stared into the flame. "Because they don't know what we are," she whispered. "We don't fight to win, we fight to make sure they never come back." They thought the worst was behind them. They hadn't met Cerberus, the Vrax commander, paced inside his mountaintop control dome in the Himalayas. His claws tapped against a holographic display, scanning the strange battlefield data pouring in from Earth's surface. Entire platoons vanishing, alien equipment reprogrammed. Attacks, not random, but surgical. They shouldn't have the capacity for this kind of asymmetric warfare. He growled. Then, a warning alert blinked on his console. A faint tremor, not seismic, biological. Something was moving underground, beneath the Arctic Circle, in a vault sealed since 2061. A cryocore hissed, open. Pneumatic arms lifted a form from the frozen depths, a towering humanoid, over 8 feet tall, muscles coiled like steel cables, skin armored with artificial keratin and carbon, weaved. It wasn't fully human, and it wasn't meant to be. This was Cerberus Unit Nultiga, bred from the DNA of Earth's most efficient predators, wolves, Komodo dragons, and something else ancient, forgotten. As its eyes blinked open, burning red in the darkness, it whispered a single sentence through cracked lips. "Kill code accepted. Target Verax Dominion." Its heartbeat synced with a global satellite grid, its vision overlaid with real-time war zones. Its body, once locked in stasis, now free. Project Cerberus had awakened. In Johannesburg, a Vrax tank battalion approached a collapsed district. Scanners showed no heat signatures, no survivors, just rubble. Then their radar pinged. Movement. Fast, low to the ground. They readied. weapons, but nothing came. 1 second passed two. Then the first tank exploded upward, launched into the air by something unseen. The second tank shredded as claws tore through its underside. A final scream rang out over the coms. It's not human, it's not human, it's static. Vrax's High Command issued immediate recall orders for all troops in southern Africa. 2. Late Cerberus was moving too fast, too quiet, too lethal. Satellite footage caught only glimpses, a blur through the smoke, a glint of fangs under moonlight, a shadow dragging alien corpses into the dark. No survivors. No remains, just blood, claw marks, and a growing sense of terror. In the Pentagon's deepest chamber, General Kane watched the feeds in grim silence. Behind her, military officials stared at the screen, many of them pale. One whispered, "We actually deployed it." Kane didn't turn around. "We didn't build Cerberus to win wars," she said. "We built it to haunt anything that dared come back." Meanwhile, Vrax's morale began to splinter. Their enemy wasn't just human anymore, it was something worse, a nightmare with a memory. Vrax scouts in Tanzania reported finding their comrades' remains crucified on shattered trees. With warnings, carved in bone, "You woke the wrong planet." In the silence before dawn, Cerberus stood atop a ruined spire in Cape Town, watching the stars. Its breathing was calm. Its mind, laser-focused, not just on war, but on vengeance. Because deep in its artificial DNA was the memory of Earth's suffering. It began with fire, not from the sky but from the Earth itself. Across the globe, as the first sunlight touched the edges of broken cities, something changed in humanity's posture. The fear was gone. Now there was only resolve. In Cairo, the dawn broke red not from the sun, but from the burning Vrax wreckage strewn across the Nile. Human resistance had gone dark for 48 hours. No signals, no traces. The Vrax assumed Earth's defenders had been broken, but those 48 hours weren't retreat. They were calibration. And now, Earth was ready. In the Nevada wastelands, long-lost launch silos cracked open, revealing black, silent spacecraft with designs unseen since the Mars Accords. These weren't built for exploration, that were hunters. From the Arctic, magnetic pulse subsurface jets roared out from beneath the melting ice. In Australia, cities once thought destroyed powered up decoy shields, revealing entire armies hidden behind refracted light fields. Project Cerberus had been Phase 1. Operation Hellfire was Phase 2. In Earth orbit, the Vrax command fleet began recalibrating their position. Then one by one their vessels began vanishing. Not from combat, from disappearance. A new satellite network had gone active. One the Vrax never detected. It didn't fire weapons. It bent light, distorted radar, and rewrote gravitational signals. It didn't just jam their sensors, it made Earth's forces invisible above São Paulo. Alien destroyers swept the sky searching for launch signatures. Instead, they saw clouds ripple unnaturally. Then something pierced the belly of the lead ship, a human stealth fighter, coated in thermal masking plasma, unleashing a barrage of high-joule plasma mines. The sky erupted. The Vrax saw, as an unarmed civilian zone, was now a floating fortress, camouflaged by next-gen tech and Lorbit deception grids. All over the world, the clouds began to burn. In the Vrax capital ship above Earth, alarms screamed. Where are their ships coming from? They're everywhere. They were already here. We mapped nothing in this atmosphere. This can't be. We're not fighting a civilization, the Admiral whispered, staring at Earth's glowing surface. We're fighting a trap. Meanwhile, in the skies above Johannesburg, Cerberus Unit 03 tore through a descending troop transport mid-air, its claws glowing with antimatter venom. Human drones followed it in, swarming like hornets guided by rage and machine, tailored from alien war patterns, and the civilians cheered. Above Earth's orbit, the once proud Vrax fleet fractured. Humanity didn't fight head-on. They struck with surgical brutality, using weather systems as cover, refraction to hide cities, and hacked alien drives to crash ships mid-warp. In space, a single Terran dreadnought, rising from an ocean trench, launched a tungsten rod at near light speed. It didn't explode. It simply deleted a Vrax command carrier in a blink of silence. No fire. Just annihilation. On every channel across Earth, one message echoed through human cause: new retreat, no surrender. We are not defending. We are ending this. In the final moments of the battle above Europe, a captured Vrax commander whispered something as he was dragged from the wreckage by soldiers. You were supposed to be inferior. One of the soldiers, bloodied but grinning, leaned down. We were supposed to stay quiet. You're the reason we stopped waiting. The hunt had begun. But this time, humans were the predators. Cerberus Unit 07 stood in the ash-covered ruins of Shanghai's financial district. Buildings leaned like skeletons, silent testimony to the first strikes. Yet beneath their feet, ancient steel groaned on. Something vast began to stir. Cerberus didn't speak. It simply activated. Its body shimmered, shedding layers of camo armor, revealing a terrifying form: jet black alloy, plasma lines glowing crimson, and claws sharpened to molecular edges. A new voice echoed across the Terran Resistance Network. Cerberus is active, targets acquired. Begin extinction protocols. Above, in orbit, the remaining Vrax fleet screamed into retreat formations, splitting into dozens of smaller packs, trying to hide in Earth's shadows, underground bunkers, oceans, and magnetic poles. But it was useless. CERBERUS units, in total, were never built to defend. They were built to seek, to track, and to erase. In the Amazon rainforest, Unito 4 sprinted through the thick canopy on all fours, chasing a Vrax biocommand core slithering through the trees. The jungle lit up with pulses of energy as the alien tried to cloak its path, but the Cerberus unit leaped mid, grabbing the fleeing creature and slamming it into the earth hard enough to form a crater. It didn't roar, it whispered, "You're not in your jungle, you're in ours." Then it crushed the alien core with one claw and vanished again into the vines. Meanwhile, Unito 2 emerged from beneath the Arctic, using geothermal plumes to mask its heat signature. It lured 3 Vrax skimmers into the upper atmosphere. They thought they were chasing a retreating signal. They didn't see the kinetic harpoon until it shattered their lead ship mid-flight. They didn't see the black wings unfold from Unito 2 until it flew through the burning debris and burnt back in orbit. Human stealth drones intercepted fleeing Vrax ships. But this wasn't just warfare. It was psychological domination. Humans hacked "there comes," blasting one phrase into every Vrax mind. "We gave you a chance. You chose war. Now, we choose the terms." In the ruins of Berlin, Unito 7 stood still alone until the buildings around it began to quake. A Vrax burrowing fortress erupted from beneath, dozens of legs and anti-grav nodes buzzing. The Cerberus unit didn't dodge. It charged, leaping across flaming wreckage, dodging plasma bursts, crashing through rubble like a predator through glass. It jumped onto the fortress, tearing into it like an animal possessed. From the sky, human resistance fighters watched through drones. They didn't interfere. They just recorded. "Let the galaxy see this," the general said. "Let them all see what happens. When Earth gets serious." Across every continent, Cerberus hunted down the remnants. Not one Vrax was spared. Not one was shown mercy. They begged. They cloaked. They offered data, peace, surrender. But humanity wasn't listening anymore. Not after what was done to their children. Not after what was done to their skies. In orbit, the last Vrax dreadnought tried to open a wormhole. It shimmered, flickered, and then stopped. Because something massive was approaching from behind the moon. Not human. Not Vrax. Something awakened, Earth's final weapon still dormant. Since before the invasion was coming online. And Cerberus turned its head toward the stars. New signal detected. Unknown origin. Power levels catastrophic. It wasn't built by humans, but it answered to Earth. And now, it was waking up. The Vrax dreadnought hovered, helpless, caught between a failing wormhole and a pulsing gravity well one, not in any star chart, not natural, not explainable. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a fortress. It was the spine of something sleeping beneath the moon's surface. And now, that spine was rising. Layer by layer, regolith fell away, revealing dark plates of pre-human alloy, 100 kilometers long, with impossible patterns, glowing dimly like veins pulsing to a heartbeat no one had ever heard. A single word beamed into all Vrax systems, seared into their neural cores. Witness. General Yara stood in Earth's orbital command center, staring at the data spike. "This isn't ours," she whispered. "This isn't from any Earth archive." But then, something human happened. Cerberus units around the globe stopped, turned, knelt, and began transmitting not to Earth, but to the awakening colossus on the moon, 10,000 years ago. Earth buried something, so ancient, so dangerous, that even humanity's myths had forgotten its name. It had no face, no name, no voice, only purpose. It was not made for conquest, it was made for vengeance, and the V had tripped the failsafe from the remains of the Sea of Tranquility. It rose, like a god made of meteoric iron and quantum math. It towered above the horizon. Its arms, miles long. Its core, a heart of collapsed singularity. No species should had access to its rewriting space, whispered a resistance technician, eyes wide, time itself bent around it. Vrax ships near the moon began to drift, slowing, glitching. Holes rusted in seconds. Engines died. Crews inside screamed as years crushed them in moments. In the Pacific sky, Unito 3 raised its head. "Omega Protocol is live," it said. And vanished, teleported straight into orbit. Back on Earth, the skies split open, not from Vrax fire but from gravitational tears. Blue lightning arced from the stratosphere to the core, feeding the weapon, now fully awake. Its voice wasn't heard, it was felt. A low, ancient hum that made bones vibrate and oceans ripple, the kind of sound that predators understand. The kind of sound that says, "This is your cage. You broke it, now bleed." The Vrax High Commander, suspended in orbit, finally saw the truth. Earth had never been defenseless. It had been waiting. A final broadcast came from the Cerberus Global Network. "Project Leviathan is active. No prisoners. No signals. No memory. Then Earth's final weapon moved. With one gesture, it pointed at the remaining Vrax fleet. The space around them folded inward. Ships twisted. Some blinked out of existence. Others tore in half. Screams echoed as wormholes snapped shut on fleeing vessels. It didn't fire a beam. It didn't need to. It folded war itself into extinction. And just like that, the stars fell silent. Not a single Vrax vessel remained. Cerberus units bowed. The Leviathan returned to stillness. One final whisper sent to Earth's survivors. They dug too deep. They touched our warning. They paid in kind. It started with a single pulse. Not a weapon, not a beacon. Something far more terrifying. A message. Across the stars, long-range listening stations in distant sectors flared to life. Human signal detected. But this was no ordinary transmission. It piggybacked on gravitational waves, slipped past sensor nets, and spoke directly into the minds of those who'd ever dared to invade, conquer, or mock Earth. It said only this: you called us prey. You were wrong. The Leviathan had gone silent, back beneath the lunar crust, but it left something behind, a shadow, not visible, not measurable, just ... felt. Wherever it lingered, alien worlds grew quiet. Military empires paused their campaigns. Hushed words passed through black markets and forbidden archives. The humans didn't fight back. They unsealed something, buried, and it obeyed them. In the scorched orbit above Earth, Cerberus Unito 3 drifted, scarred but functioning. Below Earth's skies had begun to clear. Ash clouds faded. The ozone pulse reversed. Life, impossibly, began to return. But something had changed. The war wasn't just over. The rules were different now. On a hidden outpost deep in the Krellick expanse, a council of 9 gathered. They were the most powerful species known. Now. One of them, a telepathic being of pure silicon thought, trembled. Double quotes. We detected it. Not human, not machine. Something else lives on that world. Another leaned forward, mandibles twitching. Can it be controlled? The answer came not from within the chamber, but from inside their minds. A whisper. Try back on Earth. General Yara stood before the unified global network. Repaired satellites floated behind her. The atmosphere pulsed faintly with residual energy from the Leviathan's awakening. Humanity had survived. But the cost. No one spoke of New York's crater, or Shanghai's time-locked ruin, or the seas that still hissed from orbital fire. Instead, Yara simply raised a small dataship. This is the record, she said, of what they did. And what answered: we won't threaten the stars, but we will not forget. She looked up. Her voice sharpened. And if any of them forget, this will remind them. The message wasn't just for enemies, it was for everyone, friend or foe, pirate or ally, neutral or predator. Earth was no longer a blue marble of biomass and outdated tech. It was the gate of hell, and the next one who knocked would not get a second chance. Elsewhere, in the cold of space, a Vrax escape pod drifted, one of the few survivors. The lone soldier inside trembled, watching the replay of what he had seen. Ships folding, time reversing, Leviathan tearing the stars like paper. He scratched a message onto the inside hull of the pod before dying. Do not go to Earth. It does not forgive. It does not die. It remembers. A final scene. An alien child somewhere far across the galaxy asks their parent, "Is Earth real?" The parent hesitates. Then, in a whisper, "It's real, but we don't say its name. Not anymore."